This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Good afternoon, everybody. Mary Stoker-Smith coming to you from Packer Thursday. Oh, yeah. The Green and Gold playing tonight right here on Fox 6. We are so excited about the Packers' second game and, of course, the second season game. And, you know, they just played Sunday, right? So we are still raring to go, and hopefully they are rested and raring to go. And that's a quick turnaround. We're going to have much more, of course, on the Packers tonight. Everything is green and gold. Leave it right here on the Wild Desk, the Wisconsin local desk, and, of course, on Fox 6, because it's a party all day here on this fabulous September Thursday. We're going to start with, we have a lot to get to today, though. We're going to, of course, get to all things Green Bay Packers because there's a lot to talk about. But we want to, I'm just going to take a look around right now. Also keep an eye in the skies right now. I know some people had mentioned, boy, it looks like it's going to rain. And somebody had just sent something to my inbox of what is Tom saying? What is Rob saying? What is Steph saying in terms of the rain today? Looking at the weather cameras, we'll get to that as well, but it's looking pretty good so far. So at least the temperatures are nice, and you know things have held off and in terms of the weather. But we're gonna, first of all, let me just pull up the planner here. That if you're looking at the planner there that's for Madison, actually, if you're headed that way. We have the temperatures right now in the mid-70s. It kind of feels like that right now. But I always like to give you, at the beginning of our hour, a look at the traffic, because I know Thursday is a big day for everybody to kick off what they want to do for the weekend. If you're looking at coming down to the city or looking at being out and about, if you are out in the burbs. Right now, traffic looking pretty good in the Milwaukee metro area. A lot of green, not a lot of red. It's looking pretty good right now. So that's always nice to see that we don't have anything tremendous looming in the sky right there. Let's give you also a look at just kind of looking around the current traffic area, the drought monitor, because we do need the rain. I know it's been dry, but you know we need the rain. It's been dry, and a lot of people are hoping the rain holds off for the weekend. But you know, a lot of people are concerned, of course, the farmers and people with their brown land, and just saying, hey, we need some droplets there. So that's kind of the drought monitor right there. We're not in an extreme level. There's not anything to be worried about, but there's always some concern, of course. So I just wanted to give you a look at that. We're going to take you to, of course, what's on top of mind from a lot of people today, and that is September 11th. Today is a day of reverence, of course, and, you know, just a day to be reminded of everything that we have been through in this country in terms of trying to recover even now from 9/11. Everybody knows where they were on that day. Everybody can remember what happened when they were either in the office, maybe at home, in the classroom on the day of 9/11, and really trying to remember exactly what they told their kids, what we learned as a nation, what we were doing as a country. It's just been just difficult to remember the lives that have been lost, of course. So many lives lost. Remarkable to talk to after 9/11. I interviewed somebody about how they were going to deal with the fact that their son or their daughter, and one lady I talked to in particular who was expecting a baby. I was working in Philadelphia, or in Rockford at the time, but we remember stories from Philadelphia about how do you raise kids when, you know, that one parent, you know, has been lost. That's always been very difficult. So it's been, you know, hard to reconcile that, of course. As we looked around here, we're trying to get some pictures out of New York right now, but it's certainly a day of remembrance and a day of grieving and a day to look back and think about all of the heroes that day, when we think about the tragedy and all of the scenes that are really etched in our minds from that day. And it's really a day to pay reverence. We have a memorial that I'm going to try to get up here on one of our routers. Excuse me while I turn around and just take a peek here, but there's a memorial going on right now. And so we want to look at that because it's really, take a look at this scene right now. It's really reverent when you take a look at this. There we go. I was finally able to punch that scene up right now of just what's going on around the country right now. And this is a memorial where we're looking back, of course, at the lives lost and remembering so much from so many years ago. So we're just going to take a listen to that and kind of set the tone, of course, for the day before we bring it back here to southeastern Wisconsin. But let's listen in for a little bit. All right, everybody, I'm going to kind of pause the music there a little bit. You were listening to a memorial, of course, commemorating September 11th on this day of remembrance, and that was from Washington, D.C. We're also going to have more on our local remembrances here on our Wild Desk a little bit later. Our Brielle Preciado is in Kewaskum right now. She's going to join us just after the 1 o'clock hour to show people how everybody that you're watching, of course, and everybody around the region, how people in Kewaskum are remembering victims of 9/11 with their own commemoration today. It'll be very beautiful and very reverent. So we'll talk to Brielle in just a little bit. Just checked in with her, and she's gathering some information. We also, as we started the day, we talked about kind of setting the scene here with some of the celebration, of course, in southeastern Wisconsin, with us just being so tied and beloved of the Packers. But of course, we do have to talk about 9/11, and we also have to talk about some of the other big stories of the day. And of course, one of those still on people's minds, of course, conservative activist Charlie Kirk, who died yesterday at Utah. He was in an event and was shot. He was speaking to a large crowd outside. By now, many of you have heard the news. Authorities posted images today of a person of interest who they are looking for in connection to that shooting. And there is that person right there. This is the person that authorities are looking for, and they have sent this out to all media stations, of course, looking for your help. You can see there the very, very distinct shirt that he has on, sunglasses, hat, of course, but the Utah Public Safety Commissioner said that this good video footage of the suspect, who has not been identified right now, is a very good look at him and is described as a high-powered armed with a high-powered bolt-action rifle. You can see there that very, very, very clear image. Again, Charlie Kirk was speaking at that outdoor crowd, how this person that they are identifying as a person of interest, again, it's all they're saying at this point is a person of interest, but whomever did this, how they were able to penetrate that, of course, is still under investigation. So, so many people, this is a bipartisan issue, of course, coming to a call to action by saying, out of an abundance of caution right now, we are making sure that all of our public officials are protected, but also violence is to be condemned no matter what your beliefs are. The FBI is offering a $100,000 reward for information leading to this person of interest, leading to the identification. People are urged to share anything that they know, and they can remain anonymous. But again, person of interest in his shooting. We're going to go to some of our own elected officials, and let's go to a statement from Governor Tony Evers saying violence against anyone because of their political beliefs is wrong. Violence against others is wrong. Violence is never the answer for resolving our differences or disagreements. Wisconsin joins in praying for Charlie Kirk and the Utah Valley community and the first responders. J.D. Vance today, Vice President J.D. Vance, flew to Salt Lake City today to retrieve Kirk's body, and will travel back, of course, to his friends and family in Arizona. Kirk's body was transferred from the hospital to the medical examiner's office last night as standard protocol. But again, authorities are really looking for some information to try to figure out exactly who this person is. We don't know why they feel that this person was a person of interest. Of course, they just have to keep all of their information as confidential as possible because, again, we don't always know what they want to give away. They just wanted that picture to be out there. So we're going to have much more on that as we come back, though, to the Wisconsin Live Desk. We have some more new information, of course. We gave you that look at that picture, but we have some new information also coming in about that shooting. We're going to share that with you when we come back. Also, again, take you to the remembrance here in Kewaskum for 9/11. And then a little bit later, Brett Lemoyne is going to join us with a surprise. So we got a whole array of things going on today. Keep it right here on the Wisconsin Wild, the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to take a quick break, and we will come right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk, everybody. Mary Stoker-Smith coming at you on a beautiful Thursday afternoon here in southeastern Wisconsin. I showed you the maps a little earlier. Traffic is flowing smoothly. Looks like the showers will stay away. We have a beautiful day here, and of course we are all thinking about the Packers. They are top of mind. We're going to have a little bit more on that a little bit later, but we do have news to get to today. We are working on some information, of course, on the suspect at large right now that we just showed you a picture of in the shooting, the tragic shooting that happened yesterday. Another one, of course, to tell you about today that you may have heard about, but students out in Colorado right now, it was just another Denver area high school shooting, leaving that community shaken right now. And the students are from Evergreen High School in Colorado. And they were basically halfway through their school day, and they were basically told to be on lockdown. A big contingent of law enforcement there and officers swarmed the campus, searching every room as an active shooter was told or said to be on campus, and every room going on a lockdown. For most of the day ended in the reunification center, of course, with family members and friends who were very, very concerned. We are getting some information from officials there in Jefferson County. We want to listen to see if they are shedding any light on the incident, what may have provoked it, what may have been the catalyst, and who may be responsible for this and all the information there. So let's listen for a little bit to see if we can glean any new information on that shooting. We're going to take you out to Denver right now and listen in.
It's every parent's worst nightmare not to be able to get a hold of their kid in this type of emergency.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that we've heard from Jeff Pearson and some of the school resource officers is we don't want kids on their cell phones when something like this happens to jam up the networks.
Sure.
What is the learning from that? Was there any problem with students and cell phones and families reuniting?
Hey, that audio is
Not
really
that I
low.
know
Can you
of.
boost it?
If you look way back into Columbine,
Oh,
a
it's
lot of
better
kids
now.
didn't have phones back then. And the chaos that creates when you can't connect with your child. And we know that today, you're hard-pressed to find a child who doesn't have a phone. And I know a lot of kids reached out to their parents, so there was immediate relief, but hearing your kid is okay isn't enough. You need to hold your child. So it was still working really hard to get them connected.
Jackie, any words of encouragement, or I guess for those families who were there yesterday? We saw so many of them who were rightfully so torn, kids shaken as well.
We will do what we can as a community to heal from this. It really sucks that we're here again. We've had our fair share of school shootings in Jeffco. But we are going to do everything that we can to help these kids heal, to help the teachers and the parents get back to life, and a lot of that is just going to take time, but the resources are available, and we are encouraging everyone to use them.
Clarification point again, how would you characterize, so we're very clear, on the parents' involvement in this, families' involvement in this investigation? Are they under investigation themselves? Are they cooperative? I'll let you use your words. Where they fit into this storyline?
We are in contact. You're talking about the suspect's parents.
Family, parents, I assume is the right word here?
They have been cooperative.
Are they under investigation for any reason?
I think everything is on the table when it comes to looking at this investigation and where it leads us. And I think that they're aware of that as well. But we have not run into a roadblock with this family.
Were
It's
there
just
any
great
red
news.
flags along the way, did any that you're aware of that the district might have heard from other students concerned about the shooter's behavior?
Not that I'm aware of. No warning to this. Not that I'm
How
aware
long
of.
until kids could be able to go and pick up their cars or be able to meet at Brigham Meadows Elementary School? What's the time?
11 to 4:45 today. They can do that right now. Head over there with your keys. We'll bus you here, escort you to your vehicle, and get you out of here. There'll be another push later on for the other side of the school, and then there'll also be the need to get these kids and these teachers back in the classroom to get their books, to get their cell phones, to get their purses, and all the stuff that got left behind as a result of the shooting. So there'll be an opportunity for us to get the school open for those that need to get in there to get their personal property.
When would that be?
Don't know. Could be this weekend, but we'll keep you posted.
What's your plan for the rest of the day? Do you anticipate more updates later?
I just have a whole bunch of new questions that you guys asked. So I'm going to go back and see if we can help shed light in that way. And if we can, I don't want to bring you all together to say nothing. So if we have something substantial, we're going to get back together, and it will be here. All right? Thanks for your patience.
Thank you, Jen.
All right. Take care.
you.
You bet.
Well, we are going to, we haven't gleaned a lot of information there. You can imagine a lot of parents still wondering exactly, you know, what they need to do. We were listening to the update there from the Denver area on the school shooting that had happened there. And so not much information, again, gleaning coming from that press conference. But again, a lot of parents still wondering exactly what happened. And so that Denver area high school, of course, still grappling with, you know, exactly how do you get over this? How do you get back on their feet after this, you know, terrible shooting right now? School year, of course, just started, and so there's going to be a lot of counseling that's going on. This really does underscore, as we have seen here in our area, in the southeastern Wisconsin area and also Wisconsin, we have heard from the experts about having that active shooter training in the classrooms, in boardrooms, of course, in offices about what to do when there is an active shooter. So again, that's really underscoring the need for that at that terrible shooting yesterday. As you had heard and as you have seen, there were a lot of law enforcement officers that responded to the high school on Wednesday for the report of the active shooter. And again, it was just a chaotic scene, but it sounded like there were parameters in place, of course, to make sure that everybody would be safe and everybody would be accounted for. One victim, we are told, is remaining in critical condition right now, and a second victim was transferred to Children's Hospital, where that victim remains in critical condition right now. We keep on looking for updates, and of course we'll keep an eye on that. But again, many people just wondering, you know, what to do, what do we do, how do we get past this once the injuries, the physical injuries have healed, to get through this emotionally, get students to just cope and you know, be able to focus on what they should, and that is school, instead of having to worry about the lockdowns and what do we do. So we'll keep an eye on that situation, of course, as we move forward. We also are working on a couple things here in southeastern Wisconsin that we're going to tell you about. As we mentioned earlier, our Abril Preciado is at a remembrance in Kewaskum for, it's a commemoration that happens every year, but for victims of 9/11. We showed you a memorial earlier, a very reverent memorial, and so we will be checking in with Abril from New York, of course, to Kewaskum. And we're also going to be joined in about 5 minutes from Brett Lemoyne. Brett Lemoyne is going to be coming from us from the Waukesha County Expo Center. They're hosting a multi-agency flood resource center right now. So many people still impacted by the tremendous historic flooding that we had, as we saw here at the end of August. And we know it's been weeks. We have been hearing from Governor Tony Evers and our elected officials about the FEMA money that was coming in. We had FEMA resource officers here last week. And so many people still wondering, you know, how to recover and what do I do with maybe items that I didn't know I was supposed to throw out. Now I'm going to throw out. But Brett Lemoyne will be they're joining us right now for all the residents that were impacted in this. This is at the Waukesha County Expo Center, and it's the Expo Center is going to be designed right now to support those victims. And so Brett's going to tell us basically what's going on there. They're gathering under one roof to provide the resources to the families, to get them to connect digitally and directly with all of the resources that we know, because a lot of people are still kind of feeling like, what do I do? I'm not quite sure how to connect the dots. For many people, this is the first time they've had to deal with this type of flooding, with all this historic flooding, and so they're not quite ready to do that on their own. Some of the services that are available may include disaster case management, public health and safety resources, counseling and emotional support, of course, as we talk about that, and volunteer and community assistance programs that can go on in terms of bringing people together for people still dealing with all of the flooding, of course. We're going to take a look around the area right now, give you an update on the weather forecast, but the roads are real quiet right now as we look around our area. We're also keeping an eye on New York for the 9/11 commemorations that are going on today. And of course, Abril will join us after Brett for our own local memorial here for September 11th. But on this Thursday and September 11th, keep it right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back on the other end and join Brett in Waukesha. We'll see you in just a minute.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back, everybody. Happy Thursday afternoon. Mary Stoker Smith coming at you from the Wisconsin Live Desk. So glad you're with us today. We have so much news to get to. We're going to get you right out, as promised, as teased, to Brett Lemoyne, our fabulous Brett Lemoyne, who is at the Waukesha Expo Center. It's a big place, but there's a lot going on there because we got a lot of resources all under one roof, Brett. We know that you are there to help the flooding victims. It's, I had to kind of do a pause. It's kind of amazing. All these weeks later, we're still kind of digging out, drying out, if you will. This is a real concern for a lot of people here in southeastern Wisconsin still, right?
Twilight.
All right. We have a few audio issues there with Brett. We're just kind of waiting to hear from him. We're going to make sure we have audio because he is a special guest on the other line, if you will. So we're just going to wait to talk to Brett right there. But again, as I mentioned, some of you may be saying, yeah, even though the initial impact of the flooding, some of it was taken care of because we had help navigating insurance policies, where to throw things out, what to throw out. There's still a lot of questions that remain exactly what to do. So in Waukesha, as I said, in the Expo Center, they put everything under one roof to try to help everybody there. And so that's what Brett is doing. He's talking with somebody out there and going to cover some of the things that people can get help with so that they don't have to go online. And some people aren't able to go online, but we're going to try to get his audio fixed a little bit while we go into a breel. Let's take a breel right now to talk about the Kewaskum Memorial for September 11th while we look at trying to get Brett's some sound with him.
May the memory of September 11th inspire us not only to mourn, but also to learn, to teach, and to carry forward the lessons of unity and resilience. Help us to educate future generations so they may understand the weight of this history, honor the sacrifices made, and be steadfast in building a world where love is stronger than hate and peace triumphs over violence. We commit ourselves to teaching and learning the lessons of this history so that those who come after us may understand its weight, carry forward the stories of resilience and courage. Let our remembrance not end with silence, but live through education, action, and compassion, so that never forget becomes more than words. It becomes a guide for how we live. Amen.
Thank you. Now we will have the presentation of the flags by American Legion Post 384 Honor Guard. Thank you. Now, if we could have our two Kewaskum Middle School 8th graders, Bennett Bishop and Evelyn Dorn, please come to recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Bennett and Evelyn. Please stay standing now for our national anthem, performed by members of the Kewaskum High School Band and led by their Director of Bands, Mr. Joshua Mickley.
And you were listening to a remembrance there in Kewaskum for victims of September 11th and survivors as our way to pay tribute and honor all of those who lost their lives and all of those left to carry on after those horrific attacks on September 11th, on this September 11th. Every day a beautiful, beautiful show of support of community from not only southeastern Wisconsin, but people who travel from near and far. We're going to take you back to Kewaskum before we end here our day at the live desk, just to check in again and check in on that remembrance for support. But in the meantime, we want to take you to another sign of support, and that's for the victims, all the people impacted, I should say, from the late August flooding. People are still trying to clean up and dry out, and there's still a lot of questions that need to be answered. So Waukesha has decided to put everything in one big place in their expo center right there, and so that's where we find our Brett Lemoyne that we'll be going to right now. He's back. We saw him a little bit earlier, and now I believe we are clear for takeoff because, Brett, yeah, we can hear you over there. First of all, how are you today?
Oh, good.
Good to hear you. Yeah, we saw that.
All right.
Yeah, we saw that you were joined by a guest there, and so we want to get right to this. They've nicknamed this MARC, if you will, like a multi-agency resource center, and it sounds like we're going to get a lot of information today for victims that are impacted by all the flooding. So that's tremendous.
Well, yeah. Mary, there's already been dozens of people that have come by the Expo Center here in Waukesha to get help. We're a month now removed from this storm, but the impact is still there. And joining me now is David Burke from the Red Cross. David, what does it mean to just have all of these resources here under one roof to help these folks?
Well, we're excited to be able to provide the opportunity for people to get what they need so they can recover. And it's really important to emphasize that this is the fourth one that we've had, but there are still some people who haven't reached out to say, I need this or I need that. So the advantage of this multi-agency resource center is that they have everything all in one place and they can go from table to table saying what they need. Earlier you asked me, what would people do if they couldn't get here today? They couldn't get off work or they've got the kids after school or whatever. If you go to 211, Wisconsin211.org, and there's a landing platform that lists all of the resources that we have inside the building that they can connect with independently of this event. And it's very important that they reach out and do that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there were so many people that were impacted, in particular here in Waukesha County. And you said that there are still people that are receiving shelter even tonight because of the storm.
Yes, we're pleased to say that our shelter resident population has dropped down into the 20s. But when you're over 100 to start with, that's a long way to go. And as long as there's somebody that needs to be in that shelter our shelter resident transition team is going to work with them to find housing.
So we're right in front of the Salvation Army's food truck. There's boxes of food. There's emergency cleanup kits that are also available, but really inside the Expo Center is where a lot of this stuff is taking place. So what specific agencies are there to provide the help and support?
Yeah, so we have Feeding America, we have the Salvation Army, we have the American Red Cross, we've got Team Rubicon, we've got the Office of Emergency Management from Waukesha County, and several others. And so what's important is there's a diversity of people that are here to help with all of those needed resources.
Yeah, I talked to one individual, David, I'm sure you've heard stories just like this, that said his entire basement was flooded. It cost him about $12,000 to get cleaned up. He lost so many precious things that can't be replaced, mementos and personal items. But it really just speaks to, you know, this is a story that man's experience is really echoed throughout our entire region. In your time with the Red Cross, how does this storm kind of stack up historically?
Well, there's several different measurements that you could use, but what I use mostly is the community itself. And you know what, if it's one house or if it's 1,000 homes, it's devastating to all those that are involved. And you talk about historic here, I think this is probably one of the worst in this area's history. And so you just can't put a number or a qualification on that until you look at the faces of these people that have been impacted by these storms. And that's why groups like the American Red Cross are here to do what we can to try to get that back to normal.
Yeah, so emergency management estimates maybe close to $100 million in terms of residential damage. We're talking about $4 million in terms of infrastructure damage. I mean, it really is just so impactful. You said, too, that there is a way that people watching this can help you and your mission, and that is what?
Absolutely. There's several ways. The easiest of which, if you have the ability and you can make a monetary donation, www.redcross.org, follow the links and you can make a cash donation. Some people aren't able to make a cash donation, so there's other ways. You could volunteer for the Red Cross or any other organization that helps the community, and or you could donate a pint of blood. And even though that's not directly related to this disaster, it does show help for your community, and you could save up to 3 lives with just that one pint.
Yeah, that would be huge, huge. So this is taking place, this resource event taking place until 6 o'clock tonight. Is it limited to just Waukesha County residents, or if someone is watching this from Milwaukee County, for example, it still needs help?
We would talk to anybody that came in that was affected.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Any idea how many people that you've helped so far just today? I mean, we've seen there's been a pretty steady stream of individuals that have come through.
Just a guess, I would say we've probably seen a couple of dozen different families. And keep in mind, sometimes a family is represented by one, but they may have 5 that aren't here with them. And so the outreach is bigger than just the people that we see in the line.
Well, thank you so much, David, for joining us. We appreciate it, and thank you for helping spread the word. Again, Mary, the Resource Center here at the Expo Center going to be going on until 6 o'clock tonight. As David pointed out, as we've noted, there's already been a pretty significant amount of people that have come through, especially when you consider that we are now a couple of weeks removed from the storm. It just speaks to the impact that storm really had on this area.
Yeah, and just to reiterate, Brett, I was really surprised by him saying there are people who have not let us know. There are people who are kind of, do we know what the reluctance may be, or is it just that they think, well, it's over and now I'm on my own? What do you think with that?
Yeah, I think that's what we've kind of heard, is that there may be individuals who don't think that there are resources available. So that also speaks to the importance of today's event, and not only today, but as we heard, I mean, this is not unique to Waukesha County. These types of resource centers have been taking place now for the last couple of days in various areas. Yeah, exactly. Well, help is just right there, and again, a great way to give back. Also, I love what he said about the donations too. You know, everybody is cash strapped these days, and so a great way to give back, donating blood, and they're always running low, the American Red Cross particularly in the summer months, as we've seen. So it's just a great way to give back. Well, thank you, Brett. You've certainly helped a lot of people there out in Waukesha County. Appreciate your report. Good to see you. Thank you, Mary. You bet. All right, well, we're going to bring it right back here to the Wisconsin Live Desk, of course. That was good information to hear from Brett Lemoyne. As we've been telling you, today is kind of a special day as well. Green and Gold Day here in southeastern Wisconsin as the Packers get set to play. We're going to give you all the information right now.
like you don't know, but I talked to a lady earlier today before I came into work, and she said, I started my preps last night. I went ahead and made a lasagna with a special type of noodle so she wouldn't feel so guilty, and cottage cheese, and tomatoes, but she made it really healthy. And it got me thinking, boy, I should ask viewers today at the Wisconsin Live Desk what their secret recipe or what their favorite lasagna recipe is, and go ahead and DM me, send it to my fan page, Mary Stoker Smith, my FOX6 page, because I'm looking for a new lasagna recipe. I'd love something kind of different and new. I forgot you could do cottage cheese in there. I always thought it was ricotta, but I thought this is a great way to kick it off. We could even make a web poll. What's your secret ingredient, or what's your favorite way to make lasagna? I've made it a couple times, epic fail. This coming from the non-cook that you're talking to. It's a tricky deal to make a lasagna that stays intact, doesn't fall apart, doesn't taste bland, and isn't too soupy. It's a whole art, right? So how are you celebrating today? Either way, we're getting you ready. We're going to pull up the information right now from Delaney, Delaney, before we get to that, you know what I want to do? Delaney, first of all, let me make sure that you are, there's Delaney. Delaney, do I need to bring up your audio? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great.
I can do my audio from back
okay,
here.
good, because yeah, I didn't want to catch you not that you would ever be in a compromised position, but back there in the control room where the magic happens, it can get a little chaotic, and sometimes we get a little frazzled and say things that maybe shouldn't go on air. You would never do that, however, so I just want to make sure you're ready to go. Have you been introduced, Delaney?
I've been introduced, but this is the first time with the camera.
With the camera. Yeah. This is Delaney, everybody. This is the girl who makes the magic. She makes the magic happen. Isn't that fantastic? You may not see her. You hear her talking to us. Delaney, instead of me explaining it, tell everybody exactly what you do back there in our infamous control room.
I help Mary monitor the feeds, give her a little bit more information about what's going on. I help set up our reporters and get them ready for their live hits. It's a lot of fun back here.
Yeah. Well, when you say that, like when you monitor the feeds, like just give an example, like for example today, because we had a lot going on with going out to New York for the 9/11 memorial, or then we went back to Kewaskum, and then we went out to Waukesha.
Yeah, so different feeds pop up, and I can see kind of what they are. So we have the 9/11 remembrance, and then we also got word there was a press conference coming out of Colorado after the school shooting, so we were able to take that. So there's lots of stuff back here that I get to see that Mary can't always see.
I know, I'm looking around right now. It's really interesting, and you have to constantly be monitoring it for breaking news, maybe updates, or like, for example, when we had an audio issue with Brett, this is kind of a tour behind the scenes, you were able to say, okay, let's go to this while we get the audio fixed, you know, because we're live, so anything can happen in the field. So you have your hands in it, and that's really cool. And that's neat too, you know, for journalists coming up, you know, you're of that next generation. This is a neat way to get involved in journalism, to just be able to kind of go through the streaming system, which we are now, and being able to think on your feet and monitor. So we're going to be coming to you now from now on, now that we have this little fancy camera behind there.
Right?
So,
it'll be fun.
And so anyway, you are ready for your green and gold night. You got your Green Bay Packer gear on.
I am ready.
Yeah. Can we pull up the info so everybody can see? Like they don't know, but we just want a reminder about the game that's going on Fox 6. It's a special edition of Fox 6 News before the game. Let's make sure that we remind people of that. And then the Green Bay Packers set to kick off tonight at Lambeau Field at 7 o'clock tonight. You know, the game usually goes a little after. And then afterward, you're going to have, of course, Fox 6 News. So it's a great night. We always love when we can get a Packer game on. Let's give you a look at Lambeau Field right now and see what we can see. Looking pretty good right now. Yeah, this is the calm before the storm. Packers to take on the Commanders, of course, tonight, as we showed you that graphic just after 7 o'clock. Season kicking off real good so far. Jordan Love behind that ball. Boy, things seem to be going very, very well. It was an exciting game on Sunday. It'll be an exciting game tonight. As I mentioned earlier, I had asked Tim Van Voren, our sports director, how tough is it for these guys to turn around from having a Sunday game to all of a sudden Thursday? We know they're young. we know that they can do it. They're conditioned, but he said one of the keys is that it's early in the season. They're not really bogged down right now with injuries and, of course, with the fatigue. So it should be a real good night, even though they've only had a couple days off to rest there and prepare for the Commanders. So that's Lambeau. So if you can't get there, no worries. We got you covered right here on Fox 6 for all things Packers, of course, going on tonight. We're going to give you a pre-party, the game, and of course the post party. So it's always fun to see. It just seems like the entire town comes alive, especially this early in the season. The football weather feel is here, and it's all things green and gold. When we come back, we're going to give you a check on the weather, and we're also going to take a look around the area and see what else is going on. But keep it right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, because we have much more to come on this Thursday afternoon. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
So nice to be with you on this Thursday afternoon. Mary Stoker-Smith here at the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to take you back out to New York right now for a 9/11 remembrance. And listen in right now. We just heard somebody talking at the podium. They have gone away, but let's take a look at the very reverent and really beautiful ceremony commemorating all of the victims of September 11th on this September 11th. Again, we'll take you to New York. Listen in for just a bit, and then we'll be
the kingdom forever and ever. Amen and amen.
Tribute to our fallen colleagues. Narrated by the late Ernesto Butcher, Chief Operating Officer of the Port Authority, on September 11th, 2001.
Joseph Amatuccio, Christopher C. Amoroso, Jean A. Andrucki, Richard A. Arenal, Ezra Aviles, Arlene T. Babakitis, James W. Barbella, Maurice V. Barry, Margaret L. Benson, Daniel Bergstein, Edward Calderon, Liam Callahan, Robert D. Siri, Carlos da Costa, Dwight D. Darcy, Nurka Davila, Clinton Davis, Frank A. DiMartini, William F. Fallon, Stephen J. Fiorelli, John Fisher, Donald A. Foreman, Greg J. Froner, Barry H. Glick, Rosa Gonzalez, Thomas E. Gorman, Joseph F. Grillo, Ken G. Gruzales, Patrick A. Hoey, Uhuru G. Houston, George G. Howard, Stephen Uchko, Anthony P. Infante Jr., Prem N. Girat, Mary S. Jones, Paul W. Jurgens, Deborah H. Kaplan, Douglas G. Karpiloff, Robert M. Kofers, Edward T. Keene, Frank Lalama, Paul Lizinski, David P. Lemania, John J. Lennon, John D. Levi, Neil D. Levin, Margaret S. Lewis, James F. Lynch, Robert H. Lynch, Mirna Maldonado, Kathy Mazza, Donald J. McIntyre, Walter A. McNeil, Deborah A. Merrick, Susan Miskowitz, Fred V. Marone, Nancy Muniz, Joseph M. Navas, Pete Negron, James Nelson, Alphonse J. Niedermeyer, David Ortiz, Pablo Ortiz, James W. Parham, Nancy E. Perez, Dominic A. Pizzulo, Eugene J. Raggio, Judith Reese, Bruce A. Reynolds, Francis S. Riccardelli, Antonio J. Rodriguez, Richard Rodriguez, James A. Romito, Kalyan K. Sarkar, Anthony Savas, John P. Scala, Edward T. Strauss.
And you have been listening to some of the victims of being honored and remembered by their names being called at a memorial there in Washington, D.C. We have been looking at memorials there all morning, all afternoon, and as well as in Kewaskum, as people all around the country and all around the world remember the tragic events that happened on September 11th as we commemorate the victims and the families today. A day that we will never forget. Certainly you at home will never forget where you were and the impact that it's had on you as a family, as a nation, as a country, and of course on so many people all around the world. We shift gears a little bit right now. We are going to take you to another situation, and I'm going to pull up the picture right now and tell you what's going on there. There has been a potential bomb threat at the Democratic National Headquarters. Capitol Police are responding right now to that potential bomb threat in southwest Washington, D.C. They are checking the building, we are told right now, and the surrounding areas. As of this time, at 1:30 on this Thursday, nothing has been found. However, DNC staff were asked to remain clear and let police do their investigation. We do know that that bomb threat was called in there at the Democratic National Committee, there at the headquarters there in southwest Washington, D.C. The Capitol Police responding there. We have seen very quiet activity, but nevertheless, a large police presence right there at 430 South Capitol Street. Again, it's been quiet outside. We haven't seen much activity, but we've been keeping an eye on that as this is just coming in. Very, very limited information right now, but we will continue to monitor that situation. Our Fox affiliate, Fox 5 out in D.C., is keeping us abreast for any information, but again, the story just coming in, so we'll continue to monitor that, bring you any developments as soon as we get them and as soon as we learn more. For right now, we're going to bring it back here to southeastern Wisconsin, and we're going to give you a look at the weather when we return, look at some of the conditions for tonight's big game at Lambeau Field as the Packers get ready to take the field, and of course the fans ready to tailgate. You may be doing a party of your own and getting ready to celebrate the Packers right here on Fox 6. Keep it right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Wisconsin Live Desk. Mary Stoker-Smith, happy to be with you today. A lot going on, a busy Thursday afternoon. I hope you're enjoying an early start to the weekend, perhaps. We're going to take a look at your weekend forecast, but before we get to that, we have some breaking news coming into our newsroom. We have been told that the U.S. Coast Guard confirming that operations are underway in the search for a report of a downed aircraft about 15 miles right off of Wind Point. That's in Racine County. So right now, the U.S. Coast Guard is looking there in Lake Michigan for reports of a downed aircraft, again, about maybe 12 to 15 miles off of Wind Point in Racine County. Our Christina Van Zels is headed there with a photojournalist right now. They're en route, expected to be there in just about 25 minutes. As soon as they get there, they can get established and get some information. We will bring you the latest here on the Wisconsin Live Desk, but keep it right here for that breaking news of the U.S. Coast Guard, Milwaukee, confirming that they are right now in search of a reported downed aircraft. We don't know what happened, what time that aircraft may have gone into Lake Michigan, what kind of aircraft it is, but again, that's in Racine County. Keep an eye on that, and we'll bring you the latest as soon as Christina gets boots on the ground, so to speak, and can get us some information. For right now, a lot of you wanting some information about the weather for the weekend, as the kids are back in class now, but of course, summer's not over, at least not officially. So let's check in with Stephanie Barrichello right now to get the latest. And beautiful, beautiful Thursday afternoon, Steph.
Clouds have been slow to decrease in some communities, Milwaukee one of them, but as you can see behind me, at least we're seeing a bit more than what we had this morning. It was a foggy start to the morning, and unfortunately I do see more of that in the forecast to start Friday as well. But the big game is tonight. Maybe you are making your plans now to head up to Lambeau and to Green Bay for the Packers game later on this evening. If not, remember, you can watch that on Fox 6. But here's a live look up in Green Bay. Again, notice how there's just a bit more cloud cover with just a few peaks of sun from time to time. Radar and satellite really interesting right now because you can clearly see where that cloud deck is just so stubborn and sticking around across northern Wisconsin, including the Green Bay area. But then there is one little layer of cloud cover across parts of Ozaki as well as northern Milwaukee County that's being a bit stubborn too. In fact, we just saw that picture in Milwaukee where the sun is shining. Here at the station in Brown Deer, just north of the city, we still have a decent amount of cloud cover. It will continue to thin out though, so I do still anticipate some sunshine throughout the remainder of the day and then mostly clear skies for the evening. But then past that, again, I do think we're going to see some fog settling in later on tonight. Now, meteorologist Tom Walks, Chief Meteorologist Tom Walks, said yesterday evening it really started around 10-11 p.m. So Mary, you probably know that firsthand leaving work yesterday evening. We could see that once again tonight. So that does mean anybody heading home from Green Bay may have to deal with dense fog on the drive home, especially in some of our lakeshore communities, which we know does include that I-43 corridor. So something to just keep in mind. Now, the unsettled weather is way out towards the west. There's an area of showers and thunderstorms across northwestern Minnesota, parts of North Dakota, as well as southern Canada. That's staying way out of our area. So aside from some clouds and maybe more fog Friday morning, we're still expecting a dry and quiet end to the work week. And at this point, maybe just a few showers and thunderstorms on Saturday. It does not look to be a washout whatsoever, which is some good news. Again, for today and even tomorrow, all of the stormy weather, so to speak, is going to stay west of us. Now here is your Packers forecast. Game time temperatures very pleasant, likely going to be in the mid 60s with just a few clouds from time to time and a light east-northeasterly wind of 5 to 10 miles per hour. Remember, kickoff 7:15. And once again, you can watch that on Fox 6 if you are not one of the lucky ones able to head up north to Lambeau. Mary mentioned it. Summer is going to make a little bit of a return, we can say. In fact, as soon as tomorrow, some inland areas could be near or even in the low 80s for high temperatures. We're still going to have a stretch of days with a lake breeze. So the Milwaukee area, especially into early next week, we may end up falling a little bit short of 80, but still these temperatures are now above average as we just saw that 2-3 week stretch of cooler than average temperatures. So we're moving in the opposite direction right now. Saturday right now, everybody has the chance to see 80s as we see more of that southwesterly wind kicking in, but it also brings in a chance for a few showers, a few rumbles of thunder, but though not looking terribly great in southeastern Wisconsin. And then the rest of the weekend on into early next week, likely still going to see a mixture of those upper 70s and low 80s. So warming up, we can say big time compared to the last couple of weeks. It is still very normal in September to have little spurts of warmth like we have right now. And the Climate Prediction Center was really honing in on a mid-month warm-up, which is what we're in the midst of right now. We'll see about the end of the month. It still looks to be above average, likely not as warm as what we have going for us into early next week, but that's all long range talk. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks. But Mary, I know you're excited for some of these 80s to make a return. I remember you asking me when the cool weather returned or moved in when we would see another 80.
I know, bring back the 80s. You know, I love everything 80s. You know what I also wonder about, stuff with the fluctuation in the temperatures and of course all that rain that we saw in late August. How can you give us maybe a little preview of how this will affect the fall foliage, those beautiful colors like we like to see for us leaf peepers?
Sure. Well, temperatures, we like it when it's cool. So some of the cool weather we did just see, it wasn't too cold because we never want it to reach freezing, but that is favorable. We've had a stretch of dry, sunny afternoons, also very favorable, but I think it will really depend on what we see in the next couple of weeks. Now, we're starting to see maybe just a touch, a very small amount of color, which is normal, but here locally in southeast Wisconsin, it's more so mid-October that we really see peak and really start to see those really gorgeous, vibrant colors. But a lot of those weather factors, those more so determine how vibrant the colors are going to be. So we're looking good right now. This heat is probably a little too warm, we'd say, but if we can manage to still have those cooler evenings, then I think we are in for a beautiful fall foliage season.
Yeah, it's why so many people just love this time of year,
Yes,
you know, because you get those beautiful colors and the apple picking and all that good stuff. Well, thank you, Steph. All right, thanks. And great forecast for the Pack. Go Pack, go.
Yes, go Pack.
All right, thank you, Steph. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Keep it right here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We have much more to come, including an update on that breaking news in Racine County. So we're going to take a quick break, get some information, and we'll be right back. Stay with us.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk on this Packers Thursday. You know, we were just talking to Stephanie Barrichello about some of the fall colors. You know what the color is of today? Green and gold, because the Packers are getting ready to kick off in, I don't know, let's do the math. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, about 5 hours and change from now. But, you know, the party starts right now because that game is right here on Fox 6. And we're so happy to have you along all day and all night for the ride. There is no bigger star of the night No bigger star on the Packers roster than our own star, Tim Van Voren, who is on the road right now, headed to Lambeau. Tim, hi, by the way. How are you?
I'm great. I'm chuckling at your lead in there, but otherwise I was impressed with your math. We're all good, Barry. It's game day.
Numbers are hard. Hopefully the numbers roll high tonight for the Packers. And speaking of numbers, because a lot of people know this drive, Tim. They've made it several times. You're right off of exit 1. Was it 154, 52?
Yeah, we're just rolling along. And you know what? You're exactly right, Mary, of course, as you often are. But in this case, it's really true because this is one of those gold package games. This is one of the games that the Milwaukee season ticket holders would have.
Yeah.
So there are only 2 during the regular season. So if you didn't sell your tickets and you're a Milwaukee fan, you're making this drive at some point this afternoon or tonight. And it should be a big crowd at Lambeau Field. For the folks who aren't able to make the drive, Mary, we're excited to have the game on the air. You know, this is one of those Amazon stream games. So if you're in Milwaukee in the viewing area, you can watch it on Fox 6. If you're in Green Bay, you can watch it over the air. If you're elsewhere in the state of Wisconsin, you can't unless you have Amazon. So you'd have to drive to, somewhere that picks up Fox 6 or whatever it might be if you're outside our viewing area. So great opportunity tonight to have this game and to chat about it on the way up with you.
Well, my mom, my 92-year-old mom in La Crosse, doesn't have the Prime, or she might but doesn't quite know. So she was very disappointed to hear. And I said, well, you could just quick drive to Milwaukee. She drives a lot. But so you're absolutely right. We're lucky to get that, here. That's kind of new for us this year to have this.
I thought maybe, Mary, with, I know you've made some Amazon Prime purchases in your life, just a few, maybe some shoes or something. Maybe, I thought maybe would have connected to your mom on that.
As one of their biggest retailers and supporters, yes. You'd think that they would give me some ins because, I've ordered a few things on there or 2. I may have one on right now, in fact. Tim, you've been doing this for a long time, and yet every game you are meticulously prepared. I remember during the Super Bowl, you took copious notes. I want to know what you do. I mean, give us your mindset because you don't miss anything. How do you stay so locked in, really and truly? You have your notepad there, your phone. I mean, how do you do that? What's your skill set, your craft? How do you maintain that laser focus through the quarters?
Well, it's an interesting question, Mary. Thanks for asking. It keeps you in the game, Buffy, for me at least, too. I do write down every play, old school, paper and pen. What happened, and then maybe a little anecdote on the play or something I saw, to ask in the locker room about, hey, what was, why were you running in late on that play to one of the players or whatever it might be, something like that, which I think then, ultimately, I hope at least comes out somewhere in your game coverage because you knew, what took place and you have the chance to pass that on to the viewers. You're right that we have been doing it forever. I'm with sports photojournalist Mickey Leach here. And we've been doing this for, more than 500 Packer games, as crazy as that is, Barry. And, that's just such a blessing and opportunity. And they really are fresh game after game after game. That's just such a joy of what we do, even for Packer fans. Sunday was awesome. You talk to your Packer fan friends. Sunday was awesome, right? Well, let's start looking ahead to Thursday then once you get off that game a little bit. So it does keep you fresh. It does keep you going. And boy, the seasons go by quickly when that's the case here, particularly when the Packers are good, and they've been good the great majority of those years.
Yeah, exactly. And, that just speaks so much to the organization. Chicago, all of a sudden, sometimes they will get that win over us. But we have maintained, and I'm just using them because they're one of our rivals, as an example, how many quarterbacks they've had compared to what we have had. A lot of this really goes to the legacy of the Packers, the organization, the way it's structured. Of course, the fans are great, but we really are, for the smallest franchise here, we're just so lucky. You'd echo that, right?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, the ability to sustain the success is the biggest charm of it, Mary, I think, particularly in this era of the NFL, when the league would really love to see, the Packers up there this year, and then the Vikings next year, and then the Lions, and then the Bears, and then turn it all over again. They want every team and their fans to think this could be our year, whatever it might be. They'd be happy if every team went 9-8 and everything just kind of shuffled around there. But the Packers have been able to be better than that. They've been way better than that on a regular basis. They are, competing for Super Bowl championships, or at least getting into the tournament to compete for Super Bowl championships on a regular basis. So that's just awesome to be, along for this ride of covering them, for fans to be able to say yet again, they should be in the mix. It's just like almost every year, Mary, you go into the season as a Packer fan and you think they should be in the mix. And really, that's all you can ask for. So it's interesting. Roger Goodell, of course, presides over the NFL. I'm told that he will be at the game tonight, the commissioner at the game. So, this is a big game, and a lot of eyes will be on the Packers and Commanders.
And a lot of eyes on Micah Parsons. I was doing a little research today, knowing that we're going to talk about the Packers, and they said that he will be, at least one report, one outlet says, this is unconfirmed, he will be the Commanders' worst nightmare. This acquisition, I was trying to find out about his not knowing all the X's and O's and not being a football aficionado. But when you look at this, and I remember when we picked him up, shades of Reggie White. Is he really that powerful, number one? And number two, can one player like Parsons make such a big impact on the team and really maybe propel them to the Super Bowl?
Well, I would take the second factor first there, the second question first there, Mary, and I would say that he's the type of difference maker if everything else goes the way the Packers would hope. But they thought they had a good team anyway. You had Micah Parsons. He could be the difference maker who gets them that extra step or two in the postseason, gets them to the Super Bowl, something like that. He is a special player. He's been great 4 years out of 4 in the NFL. He's the type of player you take a risk on if you're making a trade and giving up a lot of draft capital and then signing a player to a big contract. So the second part of that question, I would say he is the type of difference maker who could boost an already good team that much further. In terms of, a comparison to Reggie White or something like that, Reggie White was transformational for Green Bay. I'm not sure they recognized it really when they signed him, but it turned out to be the case. And he really, as much as anybody, was the springboard for the Packers to be able to get top-level players, keep top-level players, be a winning program, just compete at the highest level. He came in with Brett Favre and Mike Holmgren and Leroy Butler and Ron Wolf, and, it's really been a different era of Packer football ever since. So I'm not sure Micah Parsons is transformational that way, but I think he's a sensational player. He's handled himself extremely well since getting traded to the Packers. He's well-spoken. He's embraced Packer history, the Packer lifestyle. It's a small sample size so far, but they're checking all the boxes right now, Mary.
Well, certainly. And, we were concerned about, of course, his injury. He's been a little bit questionable. Do you know if he'll play tonight? Is there any question at all he may sit?
I guess there's always a question on the short week. He, of course, did not have training camp this year while he was still property of the Cowboys, but there was talk about him having to take an epidural to play on Sunday if his back was acting up at all. He did not take an epidural. I talked to him Sunday. I talked to him again Tuesday. He did not take an epidural. He was feeling good at those times. I think it would be all systems go for tonight. I would certainly expect to see him out there against Washington.
Yeah, well, that would be a good thing. In terms of because I want to keep it going here, Tim, with you. I mean, obviously we want to know about the green and gold, but a lot of people too. You're part of the fabric of the team for us, and you've covered these for so many years. I got to ask you because I remember vividly. You're going to be uncomfortable because this is tooting your horn, but I remember. You talking to the players and them having such reverence. And I remember asking Ted at one point, even when they are losing, not winning the Super Bowl, the team members are so willing to talk to you. How do you talk to them when they're sullen, when maybe they've made a mistake that cost the game? I mean, kind of what's your insight there in terms of getting them to still connect with you and so that we can hear from their perspective?
As much as anything, Mary, thank you for the mention. I do think that the commitment by our station to cover the Packers the way we do has a lot to do with that. And that's not really just a lip service line. We are at the joint practices during the preseason on the road, and I'm in the locker room every week. That's the way we've committed to covering them. It's the same person every time. A lot of times it's with Mickey Leach, the same photographer, the best photographer going. And so there's a level of familiarity, and I think that is a lot for players these days. It's not just, oh, that's a new face. There might be a new face, a great reporter who comes to tonight's game and asks great questions. But if they're new to the player, there's just a little wariness there, understandably. When I first came to Green Bay and started covering Milwaukee and started covering Packer games in Green Bay, Mary, the coach was Lindy Infante. Well, that's a long time ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I predate, I mean, I date most of the people here around the Packers. So, you know, even some of the players will know. They'll ask me, what was it like 10 years ago or 15 years ago? What was Favre like? You know, Favre's, he's just an image to a lot of these guys. Well, you know, we were there before Favre got there. So it's just been a long run. It's been a fruitful run. It's been an enjoyable run for sure. And again, the Packers being good year after year just kind of gives you that energy and adrenaline to get into another season.
Absolutely. Well, one last question before you go. You've had a lot of guests, you know, a lot of people who have, you know, they wanted to get into commentating and whatnot. We've had so many great additions to our team. Without naming names, give me your top 2 favorites in terms of the players who have wanted to become commentators, who have been part of our roster, who've just been a joy to work with, or just cracked you up where you're like, we got to get down to business, but you're so funny. It's hard to stay on point. Like, give us a couple standouts in your opinion.
We've had some good ones, Mary. We've really been fortunate on that for sure. We go all the way back to, you know, Gilbert Brown, who was great. He used to get a lot of flack for his physique, and he had fun with it with us. We talked to him every week, and you had those interviews, those regular interviews, and you know the personality starts to come out. So I mean, I'll always cherish way back with Gilbert Brown. James Jones is a national broadcaster now. You know, Mark Tauscher is all over the state with his broadcasts. You know, he's a Badger football analyst. We've had guys who know football and who also have had a lot of fun with it. Greg Jennings, of course, has done very well. He was with us for several years. And I'm talking about our specific FOX6 players who were with us, that we had contracts with and did things specifically with us, beyond just the other guys in the locker room. You know, Devontae Adams is still playing. Aaron Jones is still playing. A.J. Dillon is still playing. Those guys were great to deal with. You know, who knows what their future will be, but we were fortunate to have them affiliated with us on Fox 6 for several years. And it's been fun. A.J. Hawk, you know, he's on there with Pat McAfee. He was one of our guys for several years. So it's really worked out well. Maybe we had a small hand in some of these guys going on to their second careers, Mary.
Absolutely. And, you know, I still see a lot of Donald Driver, you know, here in the community, and that just goes to show their impact off the field. But you know, he's not from here, but a guy that's just made a tremendous impact here in the community with all of his, even Quickie, his book, you know, getting kids to read and pushing literacy. He was here at an event last September at the Summerfest grounds promoting fitness. So these guys just make a tremendous impact. They kind of become part of our family. So it's nice to see that, isn't it?
Oh, it's very nice to have had that connection with them beyond just, oh, they're a name. You know, you see on the back of a jersey out there on the field, Mary. You know, with football, it does turn over every year. You know, you can be the star of the Packers this year, and you might be gone next year. Yeah. So, you know, they're in our consciousness while the season is on, but they're people too. They're leading lives. And you know, you mentioned Donald Driver. You know, and we could bring up John Kuhn, another guy who stayed in the state and has made a second life in the area, and you know, have done so well with some of the things they've gotten into since they've been able to open doors as Green Bay Packers.
Predictions for tonight. Predictions. Packers, Commanders, just a score, just a number? What do you think?
You know, I would say I would take the Packers. Packers are slightly favored by about a field goal. Okay. You know, and on the odds line, Mary, usually the home team, that's worth about 3 points. So that would indicate the odds makers see it's pretty much of a close game, right? Kind of a pick 'em game. Oh. I think it would go that way. I think it will be close. I would pick the Packers. You know, if they came into this week 2 very big games to start their season, Mary. They knocked 1 down. If they could knock 2 down, they'd be able to sigh a little relief and kind of zero in on what remains on the schedule.
I'm going to pick 43 to, let's just give them 1 kick without any points to 6. Packers 43, Commanders 6. Long shot, perhaps.
We heard it here. We heard it here.
Tim Van Boren with Mickey Leach live on the road up to Lambeau Field. A pleasure and an honor to have you with. Thanks, Tim. Really appreciate it.
Always great talking to you, Mary. We'll see you tonight from the field.
See you from the field right here on Fox 6. Thanks, Tim. What a treat that was, right? Our very first talk back with Tim Van Boren there on the road, headed up to Green Bay. You heard how many games he's covered. You know what I didn't ask him? What I'm going to ask him next time? How many trips has he and Mickey taken up there? And I know that they have a couple favorite places to eat. There's not just one. but a few. But just imagine all of the trips up there. And I got to tell you, obviously, all of us, you hear our fondness for Tim. I've been in this business a long time, longer than I care to tell you, because it'll age me. But I have never worked with a finer human being than Tim Van Voren. Always the same, always measured, always willing to give back. It's just an honor. It really is. And he knows his stuff. He is fastidious when it comes to details and taking those notes and making sure that you, the viewer at home, knows everything, because let's be honest, you're watching the game, yeah, you're locked in, but we're talking, we're jabbing, and then there's people like me who are there more for the spirit of the game, and I'm like, what just happened? What was that play? So we're lucky to have our sports director, Tim Van Voren. I'm going to keep monitoring here on some of the developments going on also around southeastern Wisconsin, other news, but in order for me to do that, I got to look away. So we're going to look away, take a quick break, and come right back here on Fox Local. So keep it right here. I'll be right back.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to get you out to Racine County for an update on that breaking news that we brought you just a short time ago, where the U.S. Coast Guard was responding to the recovery of a plane in Lake Michigan. The press conference literally just started, so let's get right out to that to see if we can hear anything and glean some information. A member of the U.S. Coast Guard speaking right now, so let's get you out to the presser.
quickly as possible. We had a station boat on scene within about 40 minutes. They were able to get eyes on. We also did have a civilian aircraft overhead that was doing circles for us, had sight of them, and it looks like the Cessna did, once it hit the water, did fully submerge.
Can you tell us, for folks who may not be familiar with the planes, what does the Cessna look like? Is it a smaller plane? Is it a larger plane?
Cessna is just a small plane, single prop on it.
You said they were all wearing life jackets?
Yes, all three persons were wearing life jackets when recovered from the water.
Are we aware of, at this point, what may have caused the crash at this point?
Have no information on what caused it.
Do we know where the individuals are from?
I do not. Do not.
How far out were they?
12 nautical miles offshore racing.
Can you just go over again, like all the agencies that responded? You know.
Yeah. So Coast Guard, Sector Lake Michigan, here Station Milwaukee, Air Station Traverse City. We also received from assistance from our district office in Cleveland. They received the emergency locating beacon once the aircraft went down. Milwaukee Airport ATC. We also notified Wisconsin, DNR, the sheriffs, and the police department locally as well.
When you guys arrived, were they in the water? Were they on the plane? Were they on a wing or anything? Or were they just sitting in the water?
Yep, so the only notification I got was all three were in the water. Not sure if they were hanging on to any part of the aircraft, but they all three were in the water.
Do you know if they were all men, women, children? Do you know?
I do not know the genders of the passengers.
I mean, for you, just talk us through just knowing that these folks survived. I mean, for you, it must be a relief as well, right?
No, it's a great story for all of us. You know, all three persons are recovered, and then the big thing that we like to point out, they were all wearing life jackets.
And how do you guys get the alert that the plane was down in the first place? Do you guys receive it just on a phone call, or was it on a system? I mean,
So we received a couple of alerts. We got the phone call from air traffic control at the airport that let us know the plane had gone down, and then there was an emergency locating transmitter on board the aircraft that activated, and that went to our district office in Cleveland. They notified us that they had picked it up as well, provided us another position. So we had a couple notifications. This one went down.
Did the plane have a parachute, or?
Not aware if this aircraft was equipped with a parachute.
Is this a miracle that all three are okay with no injuries? I mean, is this something people normally survive like this?
I can't speculate on plane crashes, but I think it's always a good story when everybody is safe and sound and able to be recovered from the water.
How are they being transported to here?
They are currently on a Coast Guard boat headed back to the station.
I'm sorry if you said this, but do we know where the plane was going to and from at this point?
I'm not aware of where it left out of or came to. This all happened pretty quick.
And is there a vantage point where we might be able to see the boat come in by chance? Or
Might be able to bring you on a little bit more on base.
Okay,
yeah.
That'd be great. Yeah.
Can you talk us through the importance of just having a life jacket in this case?
Yeah, I think this really illustrates, life jackets do save lives. We try to tell everybody on Lake Michigan, please wear a life jacket. We're very fortunate that not only they were all three safe from the plane crash, but then we're able to have life jackets to float there in the water for about the 40 minutes before we got on scene to pick them up.
Did civilians in any way help you guys today?
We did distress, we did broadcast a distress broadcast over the Channel 16, requesting any mariners in the area that could assist, but we were able to get there before anyone else.
You mentioned another plane circled the area for you. How does that help you guys out?
So that helps us with eyes on and giving us a better position to make sure that we got to the right spot.
Are these people talking? I mean, how are they? What's their mood?
So right now all we know is no reported injuries. They are going to go with the MS once they get here. We haven't had any other conversations other than we just know that they're all okay.
I know this just happened, but I guess at this point, where do you go from here? You said the plane submerged. I mean, how do you guys get is that your job to get the plane out of the water, or how does it all work?
So from here, there will be, of course, the investigation into it, and there will be other agencies involved in that. For us, we had reported three persons in the water. We recovered those persons. We'll bring them back, and then we'll work with our other agencies on what we got to do to try to get the plane out.
Are you aware of weather could have been a factor with the fog that we saw today?
Nope. Not sure what could have caused it.
And what time did you get the call?
Probably about an hour and 10 minutes ago.
You talked about it a little bit. I guess, what's next as far as like salvage efforts and stuff like that on your guys' end?
We're not sure how deep the water is there, or if it fully sank, if it's just below the surface. Not sure at this time.
So did you mention how many agencies were all part of this? Just the Coast Guard, or did you have help with any other fire departments, or just you guys? So
it was us, Milwaukee PD, Milwaukee Sheriff, Wisconsin DNR, and then our district office in Cleveland.
Is there anything we're missing that you want to say that we haven't asked you?
I think we about covered it for what I have right now. You all got here very fast.
Well, thank you. Thank you for talking to us so quickly.
Yep.
We appreciate it.
And you said you'd let us come closer, do you think?
Yeah, so I can get you on base. I can't take you all the way down there to the dock, but I can probably get you to a vantage point.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you have been listening to a press conference here in Racine County, and the good news is those 3 rescued after that plane crashed into Racine County, or into Lake Michigan, rather, in Racine County. The good news is, unbelievably, no injuries. You heard from a member of the Coast Guard right there that all of the people were wearing life jackets. That certainly was a big help. I'm talking to Christina Van Zelst right here, and she's saying at this point they're going to kind of reposition there. We can try to talk to her, but she's going to move to kind of a better vantage point in the water where we can see some of the activity right now. I see them moving around there, but you heard there that from the U.S. Coast Guard, there are no injuries. Unbelievable. If they're going to be able to recover that plane, so many conditions, of course, are going to have to be in place for that. The main focus, of course, right now is finding out exactly what happened and on those 3 people who seem to be doing just fine, luckily wearing life jackets. And so that's the real good news, is that they don't have to have any reports of any injuries, or who knows what those people are going through. They're going to need some type of evaluation, of course, after going through a traumatic incident like that. But at this point, again, no injuries right now have been reported. A large police presence, as we heard out there, the Milwaukee County Sheriffs, the sheriffs, and all of the personnel there in Racine County responded to that call that came in. We had found out about this just after 1 o'clock, that operations were underway for the search of the reported downed aircraft. And as the Coast Guard member there mentioned, it was right about 15 miles or so, maybe a bit more, off of Wind Point. If you know that area, there it is right now in Racine County. So if you see there's Racine, of course. There's Wind Point, and that search area quite a ways out right now, where that aircraft, again, had gone down. And so, again, that went down, we were told, is just, you had heard there, just maybe shortly after 1 o'clock, you heard the U.S. Coast Guard member comment, "Oh, you guys got here quick." Well, certainly we're privy to that information, and so we got out there as soon as we can. So kudos to Christina Van Zelst and her crew for getting there so quickly. Not a lot of information at this point. They just wanted to give us an update on those 3 people rescued there after the plane crashed. Other details were very limited in terms of the origin, the destination, what type of plane. I don't believe that we heard that. I was trying to listen intently there into Lake Michigan. We have some preliminaries, but nothing confirmed, so I'm not going to put that out there yet, but we're still working to gather details, and again, we'll bring you an update. I'm looking here at Christina's picture, and we're trying to get a better picture, a better vantage point into the lake as to if we can see anything and see some of the efforts that may be going on to try to get that plane up and to see what may have been going on there in that area. So we'll let them continue to work that scene and check in with them as soon as we can. I think they're getting closer from what I can see right now. We're going to try to get that shot up. They're in position right now. I'm going to end with that shot, take a quick break, and then come right back with hopefully some more information. But let's leave you with that scene right there, as 3 people have been rescued after a plane crashed into Lake Michigan in Racine County right there. You can see our photojournalist, I believe it's Matt List, focusing in on members of the Coast Guard doing their job and doing it well as they are talking about their next strategies and what may happen next. We'll try to get some more information, bring it to you just as soon as we come back after a quick break here on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We'll see you in a minute.
This is the Wisconsin Live Desk.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Wisconsin Live Desk. I'm Mary Stoker-Smith. We just heard a press conference from the Milwaukee County Coast Guard about those 3 people that were rescued after their plane went down in Racine County. No injuries were reported, but we're going to give you a look right now at the 3 people who were rescued right there. They are coming in on that boat that you see right there on your screen into Milwaukee County, into the area right there, right off Lincoln Memorial Drive. A lot of you will be familiar with that area right there. I know I am. That's part of my running path right there in Milwaukee County. But they are on that boat right now, we are told. The 3 people that were rescued, as we heard from the member of the Coast Guard, they were wearing life jackets, and that could have proved very valuable today. We heard they were uninjured. We do not know of their conditions. We do not know anything about those 3 people that were rescued other than they were rescued and they were unharmed. Coming in on that boat right now, Christina Van Zels has eyes on the boat right now and is waiting to get more information from officials out there, as there's a lot of law enforcement officials right there. And as we saw members of the Milwaukee County Coast Guard, as we had just gone to break, we saw them standing by. And nobody does better work than the Coast Guard, as we all know. So they will be in very good hands. And so it says here that the Coast Guard, again, will be, positioning right there. We saw the members gathered right there off of right there on Lake Michigan, and those 3 people right there are on that boat. Of course, they'll be checked out, they'll be evaluated. Again, wearing those life jackets, of course, just proving to be very valuable. That was the really good news. Before investigators probably delve more into the cause, into the circumstances surrounding that plane crashing to Lake Michigan, they're going to want to make sure that these 3 people check out okay and that there is no further assistance needed there. But what could have been a very, very tragic ending turned out to be a good news ending and a miraculous situation there, as these 3 people who crashed into Lake Michigan in a plane are doing okay, supposedly, from what we heard from the Coast Guard, uninjured. Obviously, they're going to need some medical assistance, but we're going to bring you more coming up tonight, of course, on Fox 6 and the first newscast that will launch 4, 5, and 6. But also a big night here on Fox 6 because the Packers are going to be playing up at Lambeau Field. So keep it right here on Fox 6 all day. A lot to get to, and of course, all things green and gold. Pleasure to have you with us today on the Wisconsin Live Desk. We're going to leave you with that shot and welcome you back at 4 for an update on all of the stories that we brought you today, especially that one right there, the 3 people rescued from Racine County. Pleasure to be with you. And so, we do. I thought we had a few. No, we showed Delaney. I'm going to go back to Delaney just for a minute. We're going to cut away from that because Delaney said, I misheard you, Delaney. I am so sorry. But yeah, we're going to continue to talk to Delaney. There she is. We still have a little bit of time to go. But, this is what we were talking about, Delaney. We're just kind of getting in this information minute by minute, when it comes to these 3 people rescued. And we don't want to put out any information that's incorrect. So we're just trying to confirm things with our sources, with officials. And we want to make sure that we're clear on everything. So we do have, I know, Delaney, you were working on getting a statement for us that we'll just go ahead and read on air, I believe, regarding I'm going to look right here and just going to have to read it to you regarding the situation today. And this came in from, I'll go back to the scene right now so that people can see that boat coming in, because we actually have a full picture right now. There we go. The call first came in about 12:17, and you airline or pilots and plane aficionados will know what this is. To the rest of us, we just know it was a plane, but it was a SR-22, a Cirrus SR-22 aircraft. Took off from Milwaukee for a flight to Michigan, but it encountered a problem in flight. Ended up in the waters of Lake Michigan, as we told you, right around 12:30 this afternoon. And it was really about 20 miles east of Bender Park. The aircraft is a small single-engine propeller plane. So a little plane, as we have not seen one yet, of course, but that's just a small plane that took off and encountered a problem. What that problem is, we don't know. That'll be probably a while yet to be investigated. As we've been telling you, of course, you see on the graphic, 3 people on board We don't know the nature of the emergency, but we did hear that they were doing okay and that they were wearing life jackets. And the minute, of course, that the dive teams and the rescue teams found them, they were told to be in a life jacket, and no injuries were reported. And so right now, of course, the U.S. Coast Guard is available. They're going to be investigating in very, very, as you can see, they're a very happy scene. Nobody was injured in that. By the way, Milwaukee County Airport not affected by this. So they were en route, but of course didn't make it that far. But the good news is that they did make it to that boat right now, where they're being greeted right now. As we can see, there are pictures a little bit pixelated, but getting closer and closer to shore. Good news is, of course, no reports of injury. Let's keep an eye on here. I know we're getting a little pixelation on that scene, but we want to try to see those 3 people leave that boat right now and just kind of get an idea of the condition that they may be in. The Milwaukee County Coast Guard right there, of course, doing their job and making sure that those 3 people get off that boat safely. And the plane is just another matter. They're going to have to wait to try to get the plane up and then figure out exactly what happened as they look to investigate what went wrong when that aircraft departed Milwaukee. Again, not a lot of time there, because it says at about 12:17 that SR-22 departed the Milwaukee airport for a flight to Michigan. But again, then at approximately 12:37, right about 20 miles east of Bender Road, there was some type of a problem. We don't know what that was, but it was pretty quickly there after the aircraft took off there, just about 20 minutes into the flight. So something was discovered perhaps right after takeoff or shortly thereafter, that aircraft crashed into Lake Michigan. Luckily, though, those people were wearing those life jackets, and that crash was obviously not impactful enough to impact them in a negative way, because we are told there were no injuries reported. We just don't know the nature of what could have happened there. But good news is, of course, lots of daylight out there, not any inclemental weather. It's a nice day here in southeastern Wisconsin, where you didn't have any rain or any high winds or any real turbulence as it would appear on Lake Michigan. So that's also aiding in, of course, recovery efforts for them, for the aircraft, and also some good news coming that this could have been a really bad situation. So weather likely playing a role in the good news of this. If weather at all played a role, or if it was a problem with the aircraft, one would presume there would be a problem with the aircraft, because again, we haven't seen any inclement weather here in southeastern Wisconsin that would affect a plane, and that would have affected their ability to go the short distance for that flight to Michigan from Milwaukee. Wouldn't have been a long trip at all. So it'll be interesting to see exactly what happened and what plays out as that investigation continues to roll on. So we're going to continue to monitor this, because we want to see if we can get those people coming off of that boat right now, and seeing what's going on there. Again, good news, the weather just seems to be cooperating. As we have seen all around the area today, it has been good weather. Beautiful mid-fall, if you will, or a late summer day, technically still summer here in southeastern Wisconsin, and just a beautiful day, good temperature out there right now, not too hot, not too cold. Just to step aside for 20 seconds and remind people the game up at Lambeau today. If you are headed out there, doesn't seem to be any weather to impact you. In fact, it seems like a great day to take in a game. And if you can't take in the game up at Lambeau, you can keep it right here in FOX6, because we're going to have that game, of course. Kickoff, I believe, is 7:15. We're going to do a pregame show. And of course, we'll have the news after the game. So we want to remind people to keep it right here on FOX6. Let's turn our attention back to the Milwaukee County Coast Guard. As you can see, there are officials who had responded to the scene right there, gathering, and the Coast Guard, of course, getting ready to get those 3 people off the boat, back up there right off of Lincoln Memorial Drive, where they'll go, no doubt, to be assessed and make sure that they check out okay. The initial reports were that they were doing fine, doing well, had the life jackets on. We don't know if these were, seasoned professionals, so to speak, with this aircraft. We don't know anything about the aircraft other than the make of it. If there were any previous reported problems, we do know it was a short trip, from Milwaukee to Michigan, but no word yet on what would have brought that plane crashing into Lake Michigan shortly before 1 o'clock this afternoon. Those rescue efforts were swift and they were successful, and so that's always a good sign to see there. And so we just kind of are waiting to see if we can get those 3 people coming off of that boat there. And again, we don't know even, if 3 men, 3 women, a mix, we're not sure yet. All of this coming in right now. We did hear from Brett Lemoyne a little bit earlier in Waukesha, the Expo Center there. And we heard about some of the efforts going on to help victims of our historic flooding, from all those impacted from our historic flooding at the end of August. And we got some word about, people who still had to file claims, people who still needed help, how the Red Cross and members of organization down there were helping people navigate the process of still cleaning up and drying out. We also saw members of FEMA here earlier this week, and we were just hearing word from President Trump that we're hearing about FEMA funds. Delaney, you had mentioned FEMA funds. We're going to break away there and put you into the box here to repeat that info about the FEMA funds that we were hearing about from President Trump. You had just said something, and I missed that as we were looking at the Milwaukee County Coast Guard. What was that information you gave me?
No worries. President Trump just posted on Truth Social that he has informed Senator Ron Johnson that he's approving $29.8 million for Wisconsin to help them recover from the storms and flooding.
Yeah, that is good news. Jason Calvi has been doing reports now for weeks about the process. It's a lengthy process to get that money from FEMA. A lot of the declarations have to come in, and we saw Vice President J.D. Vance in La Crosse about 2 weeks ago saying that he would take the message that we needed help here in southeastern Wisconsin back to Washington if President Trump hadn't signed or heard about a declaration for a need for help. And so clearly that coming to fruition today, where Wisconsinites will be getting help from that historic flooding that we saw back in August, unlike any flooding that many of us have ever seen before. So that is some good news. FEMA money headed our way. Let's leave you with that look right there of the Milwaukee County Coast Guard and the 3 people rescued from that plane crash in Racine County, seeming to be doing real well. Updates coming up at 4. Great to have you along today.
Right, as you see, they're just listening into the senators, including Amy Klobuchar there, from the Democrat from Minnesota, making remarks, standing alongside Republican Senator Lindsey Graham and others as they talk about the legislation that would designate Russia and Belarus sponsors of terror if children who have been allegedly kidnapped from Ukraine are not found. So we did want to bring that to you here on Live Now from Fox, as if that is yet another top story that we're following today. We are going to, though, continue at this time our coverage of those other major top stories. I want to show this to you before we go away for a 2-minute commercial break. This is still the scene there in Utah, as that manhunt is currently underway for a person of interest in Charlie Kirk's death. And so again, we've been hearing there from some of those officials, including the FBI, talking about the things that they've seen. We're going to be speaking on the other side of this 2-minute break with one of our experts about how this investigation is going, what folks at home should be on the lookout for, and when potentially that person of interest will be brought into custody. Let's slide away for a 2-minute commercial break. Stay with us.